Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to your 6th beginner's Java tutorial. Today I'm gonna finally expose you to one of the prime concepts of programming by introducing you to the concept of control flow so you can let your program make decisions on what code to execute. I'll start very light with the if statements, what it is, and how to use them in Java. Following this procedure, I'll present to you the various types of control flow statements. And to make use of these concepts, we'll be writing a more dynamic program that includes those concepts. And of course, to conclude the presentation, we'll summarize everything. So I'm going to begin with the first item on the agenda, the if statement here. The if statement is the most basic of all the control flow statement. Basically, it tells the program to execute a certain section of the code only if a particular test evaluates to be true. In short, you give your program a test condition, and if the condition evaluates to be true, it enters what's inside the bracket. Inside the bracket is what you like it to be. So you could print something, or you could add something, and you could perform a list of things. And how to use them, here's the syntax. You put the keyword if. After this if, put a parenthesis, and inside parenthesis you insert some condition that you want your program to evaluate. If this condition passes, which means it's true, it enters this bracket. Alright, so here's your example. You got a variable named his age set at 30, and you want the program to test if his age is greater than 20. If it is greater than 20, let it enter this block of code here and print out something like 30 is indeed greater than 20. If it's not true, do nothing. From this example, you can clearly see that your program will enter this line of code. Why? Because his age was initialized to be 30 from the very top, so 30 is of course greater than 20, so that's true. If it's true, it will enter this block of code. Let me show you real quick how this is done in Eclipse. So let's open up a new Java project. I'm gonna set mine to be here. Call this guy what is this? Control flow. Okay, and finish. Here you go. I want to create a new class. I'm just gonna call capital first letter flow. Okay, and let it have a main, or else if you don't check this, you'll have to type the whole thing. So I'm just gonna click it. Okay, alright, so delete all these guys first, and okay. But before I do anything, let me close these tabs which are from the previous tutorial so you won't get confused. Now let's declare and initialize the variable 30, and then after doing this, we want to create a test condition using the if statement. Parenthesis, curly braces. Inside this parenthesis, our test condition was to determine if his age was greater than 20. If it is greater than 20, do all the things inside these curly braces. In our case, we just wanted a simple printing statement, and we said yes, 30 is indeed greater than 20. Basically, if you run this line of code will get executed because this condition is met. His age, which was 30, is greater than 20. So this line of code gets entered because it's what inside the curly braces. On the other hand, if you change this guy to 40, if you run this, nothing happens because this condition is now false. As soon as I change 20 to 40, this condition is not met, so it will not enter these curly braces. Basically, it runs in here, and we have nothing here for the main method. By the way, inside these curly braces are what we refer to as compound statements, because normally you don't just have one statement, you have a bunch of them, and you just refer to them as block of code or compound statements. Now moving on to the if-else statement. Pretty much the else allows you to take care of the false case scenario. So when something's false, you want it to execute a certain command. And basically you do that by typing else after the ending curly braces of the if. An example would be here. His age is set at 25. If his age is greater than 21, print out something random like go big, have a shot of Patron. Else, go home, have some juice. So as you can see here, currently this bracket will be entered because his age, which is 25, is greater than 21. This else here won't get entered because it's always true unless you change this guy to, let's say, 19. So let's do some example right now. So let me change this guy to 25 and then 21. Now we're asking if he's older than 21 here. If he's older than 21, well, let him have a shot of Patron. Else, if he's younger than 21, how you take care of that, you put else and then opening curly braces and ending curly braces, and inside here I'm gonna type out something like tell him go home, have some juice. Okay, and pretty much that's how you use the if else statement. If this condition is met, it enters this first set of curly braces. If it's not met, by default it goes to the else. So if you want to activate this else statement, what you have to do is just change this condition. So if you change this to 19, you can see that this condition won't be met because 19 is not greater than 21. So by default it falls in the false case. In this case it will be telling him to go home and have some juice. So let me run this and show you a result real quick. There you go. Go home, have some juice. If you wanted to enter this once again, change this back to a number that's greater than 21. So you can put 22 and so forth, and then run this. You'll see that. Go big, have a shot of Patron. Okay. In addition to having just two testing conditions, you could have multiple conditions as well by using the else if statement. And here's how you use it. An example would be his age set at 25. If his age is equal to 21, by the way, for testing equality using the if statement, you must put two equal signs, not one but two. Okay, if his age is 21, make him do something. In this case we don't know yet, and here's how you use the else if statement. You put else space if, and then inside the parenthesis you have another condition to test for. In this case, if his age is greater than 21, make him do something else. If you want to keep inserting more conditions, you just keep on putting else if. In this case I added another condition to test if his age is less than 21. If it is, make it do something here. We'll probably tell him to go home or something. You notice these three cases accounts for all the possible numbers. This number accounts for if he's 21. This number accounts for if he's greater than 21. This one accounts for when he's less than 21. If it doesn't fall within all these possible cases, that means he probably enters some character like A, B, C or something. So here I've ended with a else clause, which tells him to please enter a valid number. Alright, too much talking. Let me show you right now in Java. Initialize his age to be 25. If his age is equal to 21, let him have a shot on the house. Okay. Now after this braces, what you want to do is put else space if. Now you put another condition. In this case we want his age if it's greater than 21. Open up the curly braces and end it, and let's print out something. Oops. Welcome to the club. Pay up $15. Okay. After this, you want another case. You just keep on adding else if, and the case we want to test for if he's younger than 21. Open up the curly braces so we can make him do something. Tell him, let me just copy this guy. Copy here. Then you end it with an else. Please enter a valid number. Okay. And to format all this, just hold Control Shift F. Automatically it puts it all in pretty. Now we're ready to run this. If you run this, his age is set at 25, so 25 it'll fall in this case here because it's greater than 21. So it'll print out pay up $15. To show that, let me run it. Welcome to the club, pay up $15. If you want it to fall in this bracket, you just set this to be 21 because 21 is in fact equal to 21. Here you go, shot on the house. If you want to activate this curly braces, all you gotta do is put something that's less than 21. One thing worth mentioning about the syntax for the if-else statements in Java is that they're exactly the same as the ones in C and C++. So if you grasp all the concepts in this tutorial, you should be good when you learn C and C++. So hopefully you have a solid understanding from this tutorial. So it doesn't look like we have enough time to write the program which we initially planned for in this tutorial. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll probably look at the last control flow on the item here. The last one is switch statements, which I'll talk about in the next 2 or 3 tutorial, but I want to get over with this guy here, the ternary operator, which can be used to replace the if-else counterpart. I'll show you how it can be used here. So I'm going to comment all these guys out, starting from here all the way up. Okay. To illustrate, I'll be writing a small program that determines the minimum number of 2 values using the if-else statements. Then I'll show you how it could be easily done using the ternary operator. First thing we need to do is declare and initialize 2 variables so we can compare them. So I'm going to call first num, set it to be 4, and sec num, set it to be, let's say, 9. And then we want to declare a variable that holds the minimum number between these 2 variables here. So to begin, if first num is less than second num, that means that the first number is smaller than the second number. Well, we want the smaller one, right? So we're gonna set the minimum number equal to the smaller number, which in this case first num. Else, what we're gonna do, set min num to sec num. This bracket will get entered if this condition is false, meaning the first num is greater than second num. If it's that case, we want the second num, because second num is smaller than the first num. We want the smallest. That's why we call it the minimum num or min num. We want to print out min num here and run it, and you see 4. See, 4 is the smallest between these 2 here. If you change this guy to, let's say, 13 or 14, you get 9 here, because this bracket gets entered. Min num gets set to the second num. Now let me show you how you could do this with the ternary operator. Comment these guys out. To begin, you put the condition. We asked first num is it less than second num. Then we put a question mark. It's like asking, is first num less than the second num? After this question mark is what is true. So whatever is true, if this condition is true, what do you want it to do? Well, we want, if first num is less than second num, we obviously want to store first num to here min num, right? That's it. And then if this is not true, what do you want to do? You put a colon. After this colon is your false condition here. So if it's not true, I want to set second num to the min num here. Let's run this, but before that, let me print this out, right? Print out min num, which is this guy here. Control Shift F to format all these guys. And of course, minimum num is red because I kind of comment this guy out. So let me put it here. Now run this, you should get 9 as shown here. And that's how you use the ternary operator. You put the condition here, followed by the question mark. After the question mark is what you want to do when the condition is true. So here in this case, we want to set first num equal to min num, and then you put a colon to account for the else case. The else case is when the condition is false. When the condition is false, I want to set sec num to the min num. As you can clearly see, this block of code is replaced by just one line of code. Actually, before we end this tutorial, let me show you something in Java. There's a built-in method from the math class that already determines the minimum number of 2 values. So A here we call first num and second num. and you can go ahead, comment this out, and if you run this, it gives you the exact same answer. I just use this ternary operator to illustrate that you can use for if-else statements. See you in the next tutorial.